Please note these are a form of social commentary and not in any way meant to put down the ideas and ideals of any political or gender identity. You are all fair game in the eyes of the wicked, and we see you.
It just feels like
the world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. Have a look at, see that chap over there? Take your hand off my penis!
The Deputy Secretary, Deputy Secretary.
This guy is fucking stupid!
stay cheesy. Alrighty then, one more sound. Alright, how's it going, my beautiful party people? Man, there is a lot of craziness going on right now, as usual. But I don't know, is it just me or is this place getting fucking scary? Like, really scary. The other day I witnessed, just yesterday, I witnessed another I don't know, race war, culture war, holy war, whatever you want to call it. Let me just try to say this as well as I can. There's no one person that's more American than the other. We're just American, dude. Get over it. Like, stop thinking that there's some sort of difference between being American and then being some sort of super American. Like, no, if you're here, you're American, all right? When your feet are on our soil and our concrete, you are American, and you should be protected with our American rights. The very rights that people will die to reach this country to gain those specific rights. So we forget that we are not the greatest country in the world anymore, but we're still the most sought after country in the world. And that's why if I ever need a fresh perspective on the actual world or place I'm living in the country's state, I'll go and talk to someone not from this country. Excuse me. Damn, that was a hard one. So my point is that, you know, you're not more American than the other guy. You guys are both here. You're both American. You're both protected with the same rights. So therefore, you have no right to run around saying you're more American than this guy simply because you're whiter than that guy. Now, I don't know when people started mistaking white for American, but that's not how it works. Unless this was like the European age. I mean, really. Sorry, I was trying to look for my ring. I always feel naked without it. So now I'm starting to feel naked without my watch. I don't know if I explained this watch to you guys, but I mean, it's a beauty. It is an absolute beauty. This is I don't care for names and stuff, but you can see it's a diamond 12. It's a diamond 12. Gorgeous Joffrey Bean watch with 3 faces, and it's like a $200 watch that I got for about $20. And that, again, beauty of the crackheads, man. You gotta love the crackheads. You know, they will haggle with the best of them. I'm just kidding. I actually traded it for a much more expensive watch, but So my point is, this fight that I witnessed was over a Pakistani guy and a Jewish Israeli American. Now, I don't care where you're from, you don't get to be better than anybody. So the guy fighting him was called Palestinian scum. And being that I live in a very diverse but Asian community with plenty of Middle Eastern people of all types. And when I say all types, I mean, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran. Um, and 99% of these people just want to work and get their day over with. So when you want a fresh perspective on how well we're doing, talk to someone that's new here. Get in an Uber, and if your Uber driver has a foreign accent, start talking about where he's from. And they will tell you everything that you forgot that is great about our country and the reasons why they come here and why they want to come here from like the day that they hear about this country. And the only reason why we don't see North Koreans doing the same shit is because of the iron fist that is right on top of their fucking head. But these people dream about America. And I like how Scarborough said that a lot of smaller armies in other countries think that Navy SEALs are all 7 foot, 8 foot tall men. That's how terrified they are of us. And ordinarily, I would never be proud of something like that. But I do take a certain level of pride in my country that, we are that well trained and disciplined that, people fear us. That is the only thing that I like, is because it knows that we live a certain style of freedom and we don't have to worry about those freedoms taken away by anybody else because we'll fuck you up. But the problem that we do have is the people that want to ruin it are ruining it from the inside, which is how, in my opinion, the Republican Party has always been this giant Trojan horse. And to go ahead and praise people like Ronald Reagan, who started so many of the systems that ruined our lives and brought in the worst economic system that he named after himself. And I love how Bidenomics have like nothing to do with Reaganomics, because Trump's way of doing it was straight up Reaganomics. And Reaganomics is just another way to say I'm better than you. You get my crumbs. And then you share those crumbs with the person underneath you. That is not a democracy. That's not a fucking free country. That is corporatism. And it's horse shit. How's it going? Pity for you. Welcome to the show. What's it called? So anyway, we have been going into this path for a very long time. And so now we have to base our lives on a pre and post 9/11 kind of bullshit. And really what it is amount of surveillance. Now, the OSS was the original CIA. By World War II, the rules were simple. The OSS would go away and basically go to sleep during peacetime. So during wartime, the OSS would come out and do surveillance, and they were our official surveillance teams and working on in the espionage area and the gray, shadowy areas of warfare. But that got taken away when they realized if we install a different system, we can spy on our own country all the time. And that's when the CIA replaced the OSS. The reason why I bring this up is because when the CIA replaced the OSS, that's when we started hearing all these crazy projects like Operation Mockingbird, Project Mockingbird. No, they're not the same. Some people get them confused, but Project Mockingbird was really more of a way of getting at a specific pair of journalists. Operation Mockingbird was basically implementing and planting in agents, not only in the media, so that way the media could be controlled by the government to influence thought for the average American. And that's really the way they went with it. And then we had the FCC and all this other crap that just came in, basically censoring everything you are going to watch. So when they were asked, because the CIA has gone through court processes and has been scrutinized back when we had real presidents, and guys like John F. Kennedy wanted nothing to do with those guys, because if you do not have the boss as the president is your boss, and you don't even have to listen to that guy, well, I don't trust you anymore, because you don't follow if I'm a president, you don't follow my lead, you don't follow anything. So that means you don't have to tell me anything that you're doing. Therefore, I don't trust you and I want you out. And that's what Kennedy wanted. And since then, we have watched the media rip us apart from the inside, taking away community events, scaring the shit out of us with their news programs, and starting to build a false reality with even the smallest things like police. Now, I know we are going to get to the Osama love letters in a second, but this is all relevant to that. And unfortunately, I forgot what I was just talking about. But anyway, the mass media was there to provide narrative. And when they were in court and scrutinized, a member of the CIA was asked, "Are you guys infiltrating our media and press?" And the immediate answer was, "We can talk about that in your chambers. We will not talk about that out loud." It's a simple yes or no question, which you just give us a total yes. Now, also what they were doing in Operation Mockingbird, they were getting CIA members and spies to enter the National Student Association, which would allow unsanctioned visits to other countries that were technically legal, because they weren't supposed to be government affiliated. They were supposed to be in a matter of education. So you had spies in the actual NS, at the time it was called the NSA, which, we now think of a different NSA. But the National Students Association was completely infiltrated. So then we get all of the stories, all of the narratives. And if you question it, you're fucking crazy. Now, that's where all of this comes in, because when you question it, you're fucking crazy. But then when we question it and then find out that we're right, we never get an apology. The only person I've actually ever heard apologize was actually Geraldo Rivera, who had told us 9/11 truthers and the people that had the Investigate 9/11 t-shirts, after Loose Change was made and the movement became a real movement. They showed up to Geraldo at large during a live session. And so he was trying to hear what they were saying. And then he goes, "Oh, buildings, get a life, get a life." And it took the father of a victim and two architect engineers slash engineers to basically talk to Geraldo for about 20 minutes, and they changed his mind. That's how fucking easy it was for these guys to change his mind. And the last thing he said, which this is on Fox News, he said, "I apologize for anything I had said in the past. Clearly, these people know far better than I do." Now, that is an honest apology, and we've seen Geraldo make an ass of himself before when he did that big ass Al Capone thing in the 80s where he thought Al Capone had left a secret safe. And then when they finally popped it open in the 80s, there was absolutely nothing in it, and Geraldo looked like a fucking moron. So it was nice to see that apology. That is the closest I've ever seen to an apology. So now the newest thing that has haunted us now is some sort of letter that, which is hilarious, that Osama bin Laden had written a letter, and he wrote it to America. No one in particular. Nobody that he would have known. Let's not ever forget the fact that this man had a working and family relationship with the Bush family. So you're going to honestly say this kind of crap to me? So here is a simple little quote from Biden that I can't help but find adorable. And so there is never a justification for spreading the repugnant, evil, anti-Semitic, now keep that word in mind, anti-Semitic lies that the leader of Al-Qaeda issued after committing the worst terrorist attack in American history. Now, what is the massive problem with that? Well, there's a few problems with that. A, Osama bin Laden never took credit for 9/11. Never did. We're going to show you in a second how they manipulated what he said. And now that you guys are more aware about how the media is manipulated before it even comes out to you, shouldn't surprise you whatsoever as I continue getting into this. So the next thing I'm going to show you is the actual spot where the Arabic that he was using in one of the first tapes that Osama had made, the Arabic was manipulated. And again, that's because the translator was told what to say, he said. But when another expert looked at it, they said, no, he didn't take any credit for it. And that, there are certain words that can sound like that, but it's not like they misunderstood it. Trust me, there are no accidents in the military. I have a friend in the Air Force, and I won't say what he does. I won't say anything to protect him, but I can tell you that he speaks 8 different languages. And within those 8 different languages, he speaks other languages that are subsets of those languages. Now, Arabic has multiple styles of Arabic. So it's just like how if you have a Mexican speak with a Puerto Rican, speak with an Italian, the 3 are not going to fully understand each other because other words mean other shit in other dialects, motherfucker. That's how it works. That's language. So they give you this one-size-fits-all horse shit, and it makes no sense. And Dylan Avery was the one to give us, the one that had the balls to actually show it to us. So I'm going to show it to you right now. And again, I'm sure you've seen this before, but that is not the point. The point is why it's so goddamn important to know this shit. And so I just want to make sure I have the right one here. Yeah, okay. All right. So this is the translator for that Arabic and all.
By the afternoon of 9/11, Osama bin Laden was officially being blamed for the attacks, though a number of international figures would question the United States version of events, including Egyptian President Mubarak and General Hamid Gul, the former head of Pakistani intelligence, who stated that 9/11 was pulled off by the Israeli intelligence service. On September 16th, bin Laden officially denies responsibility on Al Jazeera.
Denies.
Regardless, Bush claims he wants bin Laden dead or alive, and the CIA is dispatched to Afghanistan to bring back his head in a box.
Isn't that funny? I want his head in a box. Now, I love how Western that came out and how just dramatical it was. It was so it was just so dramatic. I want his head on a silver platter, that kind of shit. Which is hilarious because if you wanted his head in a box, then why didn't you do anything on June 28th when even Bill Cooper was telling us that a CNN douchebag was in his personal private little cave? Oh, remember the pictures that Rumsfeld made of the caves? Remember, they're not caves. They're 4-story underground bunkers that literally only America would make something like that. The ventilation systems they showed, none of that shit made any sense. And so they even try to say there was a lounge area. It was fucking ridiculous. And we're supposed to believe that there were hundreds of these. Not one was ever found. But to say that I want his head in a box, and then knowing that you've had access to him for years as he was sitting on the top of your list on the fucking FBI's most wanted, and you never did a goddamn thing about it. You knew who he was. You were getting correspondence from other countries, but you did nothing. So why this sudden John Wayne Clint Eastwood, I want his head in a box? I don't know. Go talk to your daddy. You know they're best friends.
On December 13th, 2001, the Department of Defense releases a videotape allegedly discovered in a house in Afghanistan. Osama bin Laden discusses the attacks, but does not take responsibility.
That's the second time now.
Media and even President Bush would portray this videotape as absolute proof of his guilt, even though the translation was not conducted by a third party and was instead provided by the Department of Defense. International establishments and many others question the legitimacy of the tape.
Sorry about that. We lost audio for a quick second. Let me repeat that.
On December 13th, 2001, the Department of Defense releases a videotape allegedly discovered in a house in Afghanistan. Osama bin Laden discusses the attacks, but does not take responsibility.
This is
American
crucial.
Mainstream media and even President Bush would portray this videotape as absolute proof of his guilt, even though the translation was not conducted by a third party and was instead provided by the Department of Defense. International establishments and many others question the legitimacy of the tape.
Ich habe die Übersetzung des Pentagons sorgfältig überprüft.
Now, I just want to mention real quick, it is clear that this guy is an actual translator because he is speaking Arabic, but right now he's speaking German. So all you have to do is decipher the German from what he's saying. And so as he speaks in German of what he heard in Arabic, it was funny because at the time, all it took for me was one of my friends who spoke Arabic, and he was like a boss of mine, well, my mom's boss. And I remember that he read it or he watched it. He goes, "That's not what he said. That's not what he said." It was fucking hilarious. So, yeah, notice that while he's speaking German, he just said that no, this is not the same shit. The translation is very problematic.
Übersetzung ist sehr problematisch. Sie ist an den wichtigsten Stellen, die Täterschaft Bin Ladens beweisen sollten, nicht identisch mit dem arabischen Ton.
Okay, so here's a guy that is an actual translator that has said on your TV that is not the correct Arabic, and we just heard that, well, it was never given by a third party. It wasn't explained. It wasn't explained by the government. Or it wasn't explained by a third party. So there's bad guy, good guy. Usually you put a middle guy, a non-biased guy, to read and simply tell you what it said. We didn't get that. We got it from the Department of Defense. So we're getting the narrative that they're the ones that made. All right. Now, another huge problem I have with the this is never a justification for spreading the evil, repugnant, and anti-Semitic lies after committing the worst terrorist attack. Now, which terrorist attack are you talking about? Because he has repeatedly said it wasn't his idea, it wasn't him. He didn't shed any tears about it, but did you really expect him to? And that he himself had said it was Israel. Now, what happens when you say Israel? You're an anti-Semite. And notice the word anti-Semitic was placed in there on purpose, so that way you will start to see them as Nazis. Now, the Nazi comparison effect has been studied and understood by psychologists everywhere, that when you make a Hitler comparison at all, and even by saying words like anti-Semitism, it makes your brain naturally think of Hitler and the Nazis. Now, Osama was no goddamn Hitler. I worked for Hitler. Hitler was a friend of mine, and you, sure, are no Hitler. Seriously, it's fucking ridiculous. It really is. So I am supposed to believe that 23 years later, now remember I've said this before, any new shit that comes out about it, I will not trust. So, yeah, the fact that I'm supposed to believe that a dude in a cave that somehow managed to break the most expensive, most technical, and most impenetrable security forces in the world, the American system, American military and aviation, impenetrable. And you're going to tell me out of 100% success rate up to that date, you suddenly failed 4 times. That's not, as Norman Mineta said it, if it happens once, it's an incident. If it happens twice, it's a program. And so, yeah, that's a really great way to look at it. So I'm supposed to believe again that a guy that from 2001 till what, 2010, was constantly getting younger somehow and getting a blacker and blacker beard, and even the shape of his nose changed because supposedly Osama bin Laden had died like 5 months later after 9/11 due to some fucking illness. So he was already dead. It's fucking hilarious that we were given these bad actors with completely fucking fake everything, and suddenly they're getting younger, and this guy's getting younger, and more and more suddenly taking more responsibility, and yet it no longer sounds like him, it no longer looks like him, and I think they were trying to rely on the graininess of that film, but didn't factor in that we can clean that up and give you a more high definition version. So I'm supposed to believe a imaginary boogeyman has resurrected from the dead, written you a scary letter that is written to the entire country of America rather than the president at the time or anyone that would actually be concerned with reading the letter. He didn't think America was going to read the letter. So this is what I like to call high quality bullshit. All right. But it is bullshit nonetheless. It's bullshit and it's bad for you. Stay away from it. All right. And if a terrorist keeps getting younger, he's not the terrorist. And finally, one more thing. Al Qaeda was funded by federal authorities. Al Qaeda means the base. The base was paid for by the Americans. And if you ever wonder, how do they have so much money to go on these crazy ass fucking banana wars that we always get to hear about later? Like, you know, Nicaraguan massacres and shit. Why do we always hear about this later? Well, it's pretty simple. There are no goddamn cameramen at the time. And the money they use for that shit, if you're wondering where does it come from, don't worry. It doesn't come from your pocket. It's actually coming out of your dealer's pocket, because the war on drugs is a stupid little nice little window. But if you open the actual window and look inside, you will see tons of our soldiers with fucking machine guns walking around opium fields and poppy fields as those Iraqis and other Middle Eastern people pick the fucking opium. So that way they have a self way of funding their own private wars. So when you listen to System of a Down saying drug money is used to rig elections and place dictators into their positions around the world, he's 1,000% right. And he was telling us this when we were freshmen in high school. All right. If you're a System fan and you just happen to be 36. All right. So it's bullshit. It's super bullshit. If it smells like shit, looks like shit, doesn't walk because it's shit, it's probably shit. So don't believe the hype. Just do me a favor and stay informed, stay clear-minded. And also one big piece of advice to all of you guys. I'm learning about colors and the emotions behind colors, and all computers and cell phones use what's called blue lighting. And so this can cause high anxiety and all sorts of different brain effects, not defects, but just symptoms. And so I'm not saying you're rotting your brain, but you're actually hurting yourself. So I highly recommend you guys give this a chance. Just once a week, or even once 2 weeks. Get off the phone, go sit down somewhere where you can be alone and let your mind refresh itself. Your brain needs it. Too much stimuli means too much overactivity in the brain, causing lack of sleep, lack of melatonin, and a lack of attention. All right. Cold water also helps in the mornings to start the day. All right. Just a little bit of advice to help you guys out. I just learned about it, so I figured I'd share the love. Okay. Love you guys. Stay free, stay safe. Most of all, I'll see you on the other side. And stay cheesy, my friends.
Please note these are a form of social commentary and not in any way meant to put down the ideas and ideals of any political or gender identity. You are all fair game in the eyes of the wicked, and we see you.
Why? Yeah, right. It just feels like
The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and when you choose to go on it, you think it's real, because that's how powerful our minds are. And the ride goes up and down and round and round. It has thrills and chills, and it's very brightly colored, and it's very loud. And it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real, or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us, and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride. Kill those people.
Gentlemen, this is democracy manifest. Have a look at, see that chap over there? He'll take your hand off my penis!
The Deputy Secretary, the Deputy Secretary, Deputy Secretary.
This guy is fucking stupid!